Welcome to MMB Live. I'm Christy Taylor. This is brought to you by the Memphis Music Bank, powered by On Location Memphis. And today we're talking to one of our newest music publishers, that is Ra'id. Welcome to MMB Live.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You know, we're going to be talking about what made you interested in the Memphis Music Bank. But first, we'd love to know more about the man behind the music. Are you from Memphis?
Yes, ma'am. I am born and raised here in Memphis. I've been pretty much a music lover all of my life. I've been a musician technically since high school. So we're talking about 2004 or so to today. I've been in about 18 different bands locally over the past 10 years. And it ranges from everything from my beginnings with jazz band in high school, all the way to a bunch of blues bands here locally, a bunch of rock bands here locally. One rock band that was called the Delta Collective that was here. Matter of fact, we won a regional talent show called Memphis Music Launch back in 2011. Whole story behind that. And now too, very recently, all the way to an award-winning punk group called Negro Terror that was locally as well. And so it's been varied so much, a lot of different genres, a lot of different styles. And now here I am with MMB, and I'm very interested in getting into film. A lot of that also has to do with my work on our documentary with Negro Terror. We have a whole documentary that's online. And
Wow.
I'm fortunate enough to not only, of course, be a part of that band and be an active member of that band, but also do the music and score work for that film. So, yeah, that led into this.
Wow, this is super exciting. And I love the fact that you've been, a gigging musician, which of course typically is the norm here because everybody plays and plays very well. What I find very interesting is that you have mentioned a lot from jazz to rock to punk rock. What instrument do you play?
Mainly drums, percussion. A little bit of piano. I can't sit down and play a piece by Mozart, but I know my scales. I know my theory. But mainly drums.
Okay, so as a drummer, so are you oftentimes creating the band, or you're being added to the band? Are you, just one of those floaters?
Honestly, either invited or found or heard about. It has been a bit of a dream to start a band, but certain things just get in the way, and so you're invited or you're brought into a fold, so to speak, and you just go and build that particular fold. I still want to make my own band one of these days.
Tell me this, your musical influences as a drummer. A couple of drummers come to my mind, like Ricky Lawson, Phil Collins. Who are your, drumming inspirations?
Wow. Everybody from Sheila E.
Yes.
To John Blackwell, who was a longtime drummer for not only Prince, but Justin Timberlake, a few other people as well. Rest in peace. Phil Collins, you mentioned him. I've loved his music since I was little. Who else? Wow, Tito Puente is another person that I love. Stevie Wonder is another drummer, believe it or not, that I love. People sleep on Stevie's drumming.
But he is bad, yeah.
So that's a short list of people that I love. Earl Young, a famous disco drummer. Matter of fact, a pioneer disco drummer from back in the day, and funk drummer. That's just a short list. Maurice White of Earth, Wind and Fire. He got started with drums as well. That's a short list.
And of course, Maurice White is from Memphis, born and raised here in the M-Town.
When I discovered that when I was in middle school, when I started getting into Earth, Wind and Fire's music or rediscovering their music, and I started doing a lot of research on him, and I was like, he's from here? And so that kind of just said, oh, wow. Yeah, so let me just dive right in. And so, yeah, their music is highly influential.
Now, as a drummer, did you start in the church, or were you pretty much more like, I know you did it in high school and junior high. Was it more a school-based, foundation as a drummer, or did you have that church background?
No, that was one thing that starting out early, that was one thing that I kind of wanted to a degree stay away from. I do have experience with church drumming. I was briefly a part of a church group, but then I kind of discovered that as broad as my taste is, this is wonderful, but at the same time, it can be a little bit confining. So for the most part, it's basically been school based and ensemble based.
Okay, okay. Now you spoke about jazz. Jazz drumming is very different than rock. Let's talk about that. Just your approach.
Well, I believe the long term takeaway from jazz drumming, or my experience with jazz drumming, is nuance and improvisation. And as a matter of fact, many people have told me that, especially when getting into like punk rock and stuff like that, a lot of people have commented saying that I love your nuance, or I love your sense of nuance, and so I think a lot of that comes from my experience with jazz ensembles, and the ability to kind of, the ability to know how to play, know what to play, how to not play in certain points.
That is so true.
And like Miles Davis says, and that silence or just space is its own thing as well. That sort of mentality. And so I think a lot of that has kind of stuck with me from then to now.
Now, how did you transition from jazz and, in school drumming to more of the rock and punk rock?
Honestly, it goes to my love of music, period. To me, it's not hard to transition from one to the other, and it kind of never has been. Be it playing music or be it listening, or just, on any given day. Anybody who really knows me knows that on any given day, it can go from this genre to that genre to that genre with ease. And so for me, playing, especially graduating from high school, getting out of that, going into college, and throughout the Memphis scene, it's never been hard. Never been hard at all. It's what you feel. It's what you love. And if you love and understand these genres, it's easy to jump from genre to genre. That's it.
Now, one thing I have noted, I'm not a native Memphian, but I've been here a long time, is that Memphis actually has a unique approach to music and immersive experience, and it's not limited. So many people who are considered in one genre actually listen across the board, and I think that's kind of unique with us being a city of musicians and singers, that we don't have just one sound. Like you'll find a hip hop person knowing as much about country and hard rock and gospel as you would think, that, oh, you would only know hip hop, but we are definitely a music city in its truest form, like deep in, like you listen to everything, classical, everything. Now, one of the things I would want to find out about when it comes to you spoke about a documentary earlier, let's talk about that project, and what band was that again?
Yes, the band is Negro Terror. It was founded by a local, basically a hometown hero as far as music is concerned, by the name of Omar Higgins. He has since passed about a year or so ago. And so our story, briefly in a nutshell, our story started in 2015, late 2015, and so he was looking to basically start basically a black punk band. And funny story, he was about to go back to his native New York to start that, but something told him to stay here. So he got in touch with a friend of mine, who's a guitarist friend of mine by the name of Rico Fields. Yes. Rico got in touch with me because he was like, okay, he needs a drummer. I know a good drummer. Let's see. And I almost didn't do it because up to that point, I was never a part of any punk band. I've been a part of rock bands, but punk drumming is far more different and far more energetic, far more voracious. So I just threw caution to the wind and learned everything from Omar pretty much. And so, long story short, we grew the band. We started doing gigs. Not only locally, but other parts of the country as well. A filmmaker from Mississippi by the name of John Rash came up and heard about us because he has a lot of funk background as well as being a filmmaker. He got in touch with us. He made a film about us, and you can find it. You can find it on Amazon now. You can stream it online. You can go on to Vimeo. Search Negro Terror documentary. You will definitely find us.
What's the name of it again?
Negro Terror, the voice of Memphis. You will find us. You will find our music videos as well if you are interested. So just click away. And so, yeah, that was basically, it was a 4 magical years of just musical growth, musical education, and just great expression. You know, it's one of the best. I would say out of all the bands that I've been involved with, that one has been, for many reasons, the most special. Very much so.
Wow. You know, and I'm very familiar with that band, and particularly Omar and his as well. And, you know, we send him light and love even now in this space. Oh, wow. Now, you spoke also in regards to that film that you had a chance to get your feet wet when it came to music placement and helping to score it. Let's talk about that.
Yes, indeed. And so during the making of our documentary, John needed some material for certain spaces within the film that wasn't our own music, of course. And so I just, you know, at that point, me and John had already become great acquaintances. So I just got to him, and one thing led to another, and we just started sharing material. He shared film, I shared music that could possibly be good for this particular scene. And it worked. And I remember when we wound up seeing at the practice space that we was at, he wound up bringing over basically the demo version of the entire documentary with my music included. And we were just tripping off of it because it was, one, it was a full-on documentary. And two, I was tripping off of it because it was my own music. Some of it was music I was sitting on for about a year or so. And it finally is being used in something. So it's my own music being used in a documentary of a band that I'm a part of that's kind of about itself.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, I've always loved the idea of music placement anyway. Like for music placement, one of my influences is a composer by the name of Jim Lang. If you remember the cartoon from the 90s, Hey Arnold?
Yes.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
He did all the music to that. Growing up, I loved that music that he used because it was nothing else in the cartoon that sounded like that. It was jazzy, it was energetic, it was adventurous. You know, and even to this day, now that I'm older and I can actually go back and really appreciate what Jim was composing, I was like, I still love this music. And so that alone was something of an influence for me to get, you know, into the world of music. Like, you know.
You know, it's interesting that you spoke about a cartoon and the scoring, because some of the best scoring were in children's shows like Mr. Rogers, which I grew up on that. Spider-Man, the original, we still sing the theme song. Even like Sesame Street and Electric Company and Zoom. I mean, I'm just really showing my age, but even in something more recent, even in, you know, the Disney and the like Roadrunner, I mean, just the sound effects and the scoring and the complexity of it. I had a chance when I was living briefly in LA, a friend of mine was connected to Fox, and he was a recordist, meaning that he was part of the recording team for major movies. And I had a chance to actually sit in on a scoring of a Simpson show. And they were saying, and they used live instrumentation, a full orchestra. So to be able to understand the complexity of composition that goes into animation, games, web series, television shows, big blockbuster movies, you know, it's amazing. The ability for a musician to put themselves in that lane. Now, because you are a drummer and you said you played little keys, I'm just very interested in your music composition and how you're approaching music production. So what systems do you use and things of that nature?
I started out with, like so many people, I started out with GarageBand. I grew into Logic and Reason and other things like that. My favorite now is Logic Pro X. And some people would think, some people who are with FL Studios would probably think, oh, I don't do Logic because it's too, or Reason because it's too many buttons. I like that because for me, it's whole templates that you can use. It's a library of sounds that you can use, and it's right there at your disposal. Like for Logic Pro X, I love it because it's so varied in all that it has to offer and all the different textures and sounds that it has to offer. And I'm even looking for like new sounds now to use, stuff that nobody else is using, stuff that you're not necessarily hearing, and try and use it to any way, be it in like song composition or just for like short music placement material. So yeah, Logic Pro X is where it's at.
Oh, you said that's where it's at. 2 thumbs up on that. I've been in quarantine mode, learning how to use my iPad, and of course, GarageBand pretty much comes default on that for voiceover work. And I just invested in an iRig mic, trying to just do my little setup. But I started playing around with the music portion because I wanted I need some music under my voice. And I have to say, I have made a beat or two. So I feel like I'm a beat maker now. But but yeah, that's really cool. So I'll be sure to check out also Logic Pro X. Now, when it comes to getting involved in the Memphis music scene, and more specifically, those who are involved in music placement and licensing, have you been working with, outside of your documentary, with other filmmakers?
Honestly, have not gotten a chance to. Not yet, anyway.
So then that's where the Memphis Music Bank is going to be of assistance to you. So how did you find out about it, and what made you decide at this point in your music journey to join?
Well, I wound up getting in touch or finding out about Memphis Music Bank through this this seminar that was done. It was sometime late last year that it was at Slim House, at Memphis Slim House across from Stacks, and they had this in-house seminar with a few publishers or people who have gone into or already have made a name for themselves in music placement. And so, of course, we asked a few questions. Welcome to ask any type of question in regards to it. And afterwards, I wound up getting in touch with a few of the speakers that were there. And they mentioned, first of all, I just mentioned that I love the work that they did and their whole story. And one of them recognized me from said documentary because he got in touch with John and his work with us. And so, long story short, I told him that, yeah, I think I'm interested in getting into music placement now. And, already have several pieces already, in my collection. And I want to grow that. And I want to grow that process or go down that process. And so he's like, okay, so get in touch with so-and-so, so-and-so, look around. And I started looking around the city for whoever I could speak to. And then Memphis Music Bank came up. One thing led to another, and that's how I got in touch with that.
Well, super excited to have you a part of that, and I'm looking forward to hearing your collection of music. Now, I have to, because I am a film lover. I have been looking at your Jaws movie poster this entire time we've been chatting.
Well, actually, that was my dad's. He likes it, so yeah.
So what's your favorite movie then?
Wow. I couldn't narrow it down. I couldn't narrow it down to one. It would have to be a slight collection of people. Some of them include the movie adaptation of Clue, 1985. Very funny film, and plus I love the music in that too. Another one would have to be Friday is a given, and plus the music for that is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's kind of underrated. Wow. it's a lot of stuff. Like Carol and Kumar is another one that I love.
Hmm.
Hellraiser on the horror side of things is another one that I love for multiple reasons. Yeah, my film stuff it can be kind of varied as well. A lot of Chaplin's work I love.
Charlie Chaplin?
Yeah, a lot of Chaplin's work I love.
Okay. Also another great source of scoring.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
And for the longest time, I didn't know that he was involved with, for a lot of his films, I didn't know that he was involved with the music side of it as well. He was never anybody's musician, like real musician.
Right.
But at the same time, he knew what he wanted to hear.
Correct.
And involved with the actual composers that were on board with whatever project he was working with and could help compose it and bring it to life. That's how the standard Smile came along.
Oh.
You know that old.
Seriously?
Yeah. Smile though your heart is breaking.
Yes.
Yeah, that's his technically. It was composed. I forgot the actual name of the composer behind it, but that came from Chaplin.
And Nat King Cole, of course, I'm pretty much more familiar with Nat King Cole when he stylized it. Yeah, that's the one that sticks in my mind. Yeah, Charlie Chaplin was a phenomenon. He was a phenomenon.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, and plus, it's one of my favorite songs.
Yes, beautiful song, beautiful song. And I see vocally, you also are a singer. So do you have a chance to do that often?
People tell me that is I can hold a note. I'll say that much.
You can hold it from the beginning to the end of the song. So that's a singer. Now I do know in a city of singers, it can be difficult, but you truly are a singer. You are a singer, and you probably could sing a little bit if you wanted to.
I will say this: I do sing all of my, like any demos that I have. If it's a song that I know that this lyrics are coming to me, I know this needs words. Eventually this is going to need a actual vocalist. I do all my own demos, of course.
Okay.
Rarely do I every now and then I can bring in or hire somebody who I know or a singer friend that I know that sing this right quick or whatever. We come up with whatever agreement. But 9 times out of 10, I sing my own demos too. So soon maybe I can share one of those with you as well. There have definitely been like vocal demos that I've just been kind of just writing while under quarantine. So I'll give you that.
This is truly a time for creatives to have a wide breadth of material when we emerge. Yeah. And I'm finding that there are musicians and creatives who are even utilizing quarantine and virtual experiences to broaden their fan base. So how are you handling? I know you say you're creating music. Are you also connecting virtually?
Not quite. Part of it is, of course, I'm keeping in contact with a lot of musical friends or musical connections that I already have, and on top of that, thanks to this interview or this platform that we're on now, just trying to keep everything together as far as musically, because once we do get out of this particular quarantine, the opportunity is always there, or opportunity is still very much, there waiting. And also with me talking to you now and me trying to get with MMB is now, during quarantine events like this or emergency events like this, your musical output with placement, it can never really stop, because
that's true. That's so true.
Just, either email ideas or just submit whatever you want. And of course, even under emergency times, I guess you could say like this, there's still projects that are still very much in progress. There's still projects that need music. There's still, there's still outlets. So
there's still ways to make money. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Definitely still ways to monetize and commodify your musical gift and talent. So this is super excited. So of course we get into the wrap up, and for those who want to keep up with you, how can they do that? Website, social media?
Social media, I am definitely on Facebook, and you can just type in my name, Ra'id Omar, and you'll find me. Uh,
Spell that for me.
RA_ID, Omar, OMAR, and you will definitely find my thing or find my profile. Email is destinyroadhouse8@gmail.com, and I'm pretty open. Definitely respond to pretty much everybody who wants to reach out. So yeah, there's always
Okay, so are you interested in collaborating at this time with other musicians or vocalists or singers, and how does that process work for you?
yeah, very much so. Especially after this quarantine thing is over. Yeah, I'm always welcome to collab at this point, and just anytime. If there is a group that needs a drummer, I'm happy to assist. Especially now if there is a vocalist who I need material or I would like to help write. Any of that. Uh, I myself have all like we've said earlier in the interview, I've already had plenty of experience as a drummer, and I love that, and I'll never put that down. But right now, I'm very much interested in the other side or these other avenues of music, be it in more writing, more studio work with people, more studio work with artists. You know that side of it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm definitely down to collab with anyone.
Okay, love it. Now, lastly, what type of music can they expect when they check out the Memphis Music Bank when you are up and running?
You can expect a lot of eclectic things. And pretty much the goal for my bank or my collection with Memphis Music Bank is a full eclectic body of work. It,
Mhm.
if you need any music for this particular scene, there are pieces that can go with this scene. There's nothing that the goal anyway is that there is nothing that is really lacking. Is
Mhm.
that it's music that reflects a full range of human emotion and human experience. You know,
Thank you so much, Ra'id.
thank you.
Omar, we appreciate you becoming a part of the Memphis Music Bank and for this amazing conversation, part of MMB Live. Thank you.
For having me.
All right, and thanks to everyone who has been checking us out here at MMB Live. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Memphis Music Bank YouTube channel and be generous and share this with a friend. We would greatly appreciate it. And thanks again, and
Thank you.
have a wonderful musical life.